Welcome to Fortuna's Events podcast series, where we engage in dynamic conversations with the pioneers, experts, and change makers driving progress across industries. In each episode, we explore how cutting-edge innovations, strategic approaches, and emerging trends are reshaping the future of businesses. Our goal is to offer fresh insights into the evolving challenges and opportunities that professionals face today. I'm your host, Shweta, Senior Content Executive at Fortuna's Events. Welcome to today's podcast, Dr. Mehmood. It's a pleasure to have someone with such extensive experience as you to join us today. You've had quite an impressive career, and I'm excited to dive into the innovative projects that you've worked on. Before we dive into today's topic, could you please give us a brief overview of what do you do at work?
Thank you, Savita, for having me for this broadcast. It's my pleasure to speak about myself and about my work. I've been more than 15 years with the department. Recently, we changed its name to Abu Dhabi Mobility. Before we used to call it ITC, Integrated Transport Center. Currently, I'm responsible to design the robust or sustainable solutions to improve the safety of the people on the road. That includes designing strategies in coordination with various stakeholders. That requires us to analyze the data from various sources, including the accident or crash data, including some survey data and some observations, traffic data, health department data, and having a multiple, experiential based meetings with the various stakeholders all together help us to understand what is happening on our roads and what is the real cause of the accident. So my job is to analyze the data and as well as come up with some solutions that we have to discuss internally before we implement and give it to police if it's relevant to police mandate or to education department and so on. So we design the solution relates to enforcement, education, and as well as the improving our road infrastructure. So basically that's what my responsibility is, that come up with some robust solutions that will help us to improve the road safety. When I joined the department at that time, I remember 400 plus people were dying on the road. That was 2009. And over the last several years, now that number has reduced to 130. Yeah, that's a substantial improvement on our road network, that the number of fatalities that we managed to reduce. Obviously, various stakeholders, and specifically Abu Dhabi Police, has played a great role in terms of improving the enforcement, etc. So many of the stakeholders work together to reach to this substantial improvement on our road infrastructure.
What would you say the key principles were in making this happen? From 400 to 100, that's a huge amount of differences, right? So what exactly did you guys implemented for this change to happen?
Number of things we cannot, claim, say that it's one or two, but there is a multi-dimensional interrelated factors that contribute. Enforcement, of course, is the one key factor that Abu Dhabi Police takes a full credit of that. And the other thing that educating, road user, that is also we did a lot of work in terms of raising the awareness part and improving the infrastructure. We are still working very hard on that, making sure that our infrastructure is safe. So these are the elements: improving road infrastructure, improving enforcement, as well as raising the awareness of the road users to comply with the traffic laws. And of course, this all happened with our leadership from the Abu Dhabi government, who supported generously and kindly and help us to adopt the technology-based solutions as well as the other solutions that were eventually helpful in terms of improving the safety on our road network.
Could you share an example from your work where this implement happened, like a real life example?
For instance, the accident has multiple reasons. For example, the speeding. There was a confusion about the speed limit on the road in the past. We used to have 20-kilometer buffer on the road. Some people, for instance, that there is a posted speed limit is 100 and you can drive 120, which is 20-kilometer margin. And some people who were not aware of that, they still comply with the 100, and those who were aware, they will comply with the enforcement speed 120. So there was a difference in speed between the people, those who were on the road. So that was creating a risky situation. So we tried to eliminate that to whatever the posted speed, that is the speed that the driver should follow. And I believe that also has a kind of a contribution towards reducing the differential speed. Once you reduce the differential speed between the different vehicles on the road same time, that probably you are reducing the risk of accident and so on. So that is the one real example. Besides that, we develop, user code. That is one of the, road safety awareness campaign material. We design various other strategies, but this is one specific example that help us to improve the speeding, behavior of the people on the road.
Understand. Do you believe that there are universal rules in road safety that could be applied across different regions? Because I believe for sure that right now at UAE there's different principles. In China, they are following a different road safety rules. Do you think it should be universal across, or according to the region, each region should have a different ones?
I think each region should have a different one. You cannot copy and paste. You have to customize the solutions that you learn from other practices to make it customized to the local environment. May be different from China or the West or other countries or European. For instance, if I just give you an example, people here are used for the roundabout, how to drive within the roundabouts. So my family lives and I live in Canada. When I go and they started roundabouts and people are confused how to drive in roundabouts. So if you adopt a solution from one place to another place, it takes a while for them to adopt. We introduce here some system of the traffic, control, which is a lead lag system. Still, people are confused about that. Whereas in North America, there is the permissive and protective left turns, which are really quite risky. If we adopt here, that would be very, very challenging and we will have a lot of crashes. So what I'm trying to say that some solutions are effective in one part of the world, not necessarily it could be effective at the same level in the other part of the world. People has to learn and adopt that system, and sometimes it's very difficult. And we have I think more than 200 nationalities coming from various countries. Their cultural language, belief, etc. is very different, and sometimes it becomes very hard for us to understand and change their behavior. Answering to your question, it might be appropriate to learn from other practices, not simply copy and paste, but just customize it based on the local needs. That is very important.
Understand. You learn from the best and then you see how you can take that and apply it to your situation. Okay. There's something that I want to ask though. Initially, you said to avoid accidents from happening, you guys impose a speed limit. In certain places, the speed limits are only catered for this area. It's not throughout the journey. So how do you ensure that the drivers on the road make sure that they are following it throughout and not only when there's camera or not only when there's people watching?
I think first let me clarify, the speed limit was already there. There was a difference between the enforcement speed and posted speed. That confusion was creating some kind of problem for some drivers, specifically those who are coming from abroad. So we try to reduce that difference by setting zero margin, meaning that whatever the posted speed is, that is the speed that you should follow. You should not add 20 kilometers. Some people add, some people don't add, and that creates the confusion among the drivers. So we want most of the drivers should drive at a uniform speed, close to each other, rather than someone drives 100, other one drives the 120. That creates a hazard conditions. Regarding the how to ensure, we have, I think, substantial amount of number of cameras on our road. That goes back to Abu Dhabi Police credit. They really work hard and they spend a lot of resources to monitor and increase the enforcement, and that has a great impact, by the way, to ensure that the speed limits are complied and people not speeding. So there is so many cameras that are there that I believe is very heavy enforcement as compared to any country in the world. And recently they have started additional AI based tools, and that is also very helpful in terms of monitoring. And so yes, these tools and these devices that from police is been working a lot in terms of helping the improving the behavior of the drivers.
Understand. I do agree with what you say. Public awareness is important when it comes to reducing road accidents. Can laws and policies alone make a significant impact?
Yes, it does have. However, the people has to have the kind of what they call it probability of being caught. Is one is this laws says that there is a X amount of fine that you have to pay if you are being caught. If you're not being caught, then it means that laws is not very effective. So it goes hand in hand, the laws as well as the monitoring part is very important. If you know that someone is watching you, then I think that you will be more careful. If you know that no one is watching you, then you are more free to do whatever you like to do. So that surveillance is very crucial part in terms of gaining more outcome. Not simply having a stringent or strong laws are enough unless until you have a mechanism to make sure that the people know that they are being monitored and they can be caught anytime. Then I think you will get more outcome of the laws.
Correct. Accountability is very important here.
Yes.
Dr. Arif, with such an expensive career, the pressure must be high on you, especially when it comes to projects. How do you maintain a balance in your work and personal life? Especially, when you're working across different countries and systems, how do you manage it?
Of course, this is not easy to balance between your work and personal life. Once you have defined, timings and organize it yourself, I think that that is important. If you leave it open and then you are working 24 hours, but that not be very effective. I personally think that each one of us needs a family time and some time that we need to relax, and that will help to improve your productivity. Eventually, that's what is needed at your workplace. But if you just rely mostly on your work, nowadays technology is so advanced or so much easy that each one of us is always connected with one way and another with our work, and that deprive us from the family time. But that should not be happen. And so that like we need to put some effort to assign a certain time or certain break that will help to revive our productivity eventually. Otherwise, you may suffer and you may not be very productive at your workplace. So the balance between this is a challenging, the amount of works and pressure sometimes. But each one of us has a capability to adjust this balance by defining, defining the rules and the timing. That is something that I think we should follow, and that's what I try to follow it.
That's good. That's good. Let's say if you had unlimited resources and the budget and you get to work on your dream project, what kind of transportation infrastructure or safety project that you would take on?
I think one important thing I would say based on my learning experience is the professional capacity development within the organization is a key to have the sustained success. Rather than spending a lot of resources on externally hiring or engaging the consultants or bringing more technology, I would rather pay more attention, focus on the internal organizational development by offering some kind of training and courses and making sure that the internal staff is capable. Like a professional capacity development is a key to, recognize various challenges as well as the, finding the robustness and sustainable solutions. So I would rather focus on the organizational development, professional capacity, enhancement. While the other solutions are important, like technology-based, a lot of things are going on at the moment. AI has made a substantial leap in the technology, and this is something not very difficult unless until you have the capacity in house to understand the challenges. So my main priority would go to the professional capacity development within the organizations, and I believe that is the key to have the sustained success.
I do agree with you, and I love your answers. I love your answer because all of the speakers that I've spoke to, none of them gave me this answer, like to work internally and to invest internally. And I do agree with you. Like, in order for change to happen, you have to start within and you have to invest in within so you get the results from outer.
I'm glad you like my answer.
I do,
This is
I
my
do.
yeah.
I do. It makes you more human. Like I bet that it would be so fun working in your team.
I just want to add one thing, if you allow me.
Yes, please.
I think that sustainability part is very crucial in on all the our challenges, whether we are designing a smart city or solving any health related problems, etc. Sustainability is a key. We want that our solution should be robust and sustainable. And what I learned and want to share with you and others, that the mostly we try to focus on one part of the system while we are trying to design the solution for the whole system. That is a wrong approach. Once, if you're trying to design the solution for the whole system, you need to study the whole. You need to adopt a holistic approach. We often focus on the part of the system. We try to fix that, but that does not work. We need to understand the interconnectivity between the different parts of the system. Like, for instance, the human body, it's a very complex dynamic system. We have so many organs inside subsystem working together. They are connected together. If you have a pain in one part of the body, so you have to really understand that maybe the cause of the pain is the other part of the body is suffering. Not necessarily you focus only on that part, but the reason of the pain is coming from others. So sustainability requires us to adopt the holistic approach, and that is important to understand the consequences of our solutions that we are trying to adopt. We are heavily relying at the moment at this currently the technology based solutions. Everything we throw through the technology, we hope that technology is the only solution for us. It does have a potential, but more often it offers you a short-term solutions and create more challenges in the long term. So, for instance, in case of a sustainable city, I believe that the having an improved land use planning can reduce the volume of the traffic on the road. In other words, reducing the need for having a technology-based solutions. Are promoting the public transport, building the cycling tracks, and that's what our Abu Dhabi leadership has been doing a lot to build tracks for the cyclists as well as the pedestrians within the emirate, connecting with the other emirates as well. So there are the solutions that are well proven in the past. Public transport has to be promoted more. Rather than that, if you are relying only on the technology, that will help to improve the capacity but creates more demand, and eventually you will end up having the problems back. So that is the key message that I want to convey. The holistic approach is very important for us to adopt, to make sure that we are not designing solutions that are creating problems for the future. I do agree with you. In order to fix anything, we need to know the root before fixing the cause. It would be pointless of us to fix it without knowing what are we supposed to fix. I appreciate what you just said, that the most often what I think is that happening, we don't know the root cause of the problem. We are shooting in the dark. Correct. Sometimes we are successful or we are close to the target. More often we are not. And we are consuming a lot of resources and we are not able to identify why something happening. And identifying the root cause is very important, and sometimes it's not easy. And we don't want to go to the difficult path. We want to adopt the short and easy path, which requires us to show the performance and solutions. And that is what most of the time we do it, unfortunately. And that's what sometimes we get appreciation because it shows you the benefit right away, but same solution that gives you the short-term solution creates a problems in the long term. And that's the vicious cycle is going on, and we are still suffering, and we rely on technology, we rely on something. Yes, that's good to adopt, but not necessarily for the sustainability. Sustainability, for instance, like if you look at the traffic system, there is a demand. There's people, those who are driving on the coming on the road. So if you manage to reduce, like I'm saying, the traffic demand management, which has a great potential to reduce the load on the road and reduce the need for looking for a technology-based solutions. If you don't do so, then you keep on coming back again and again at a stage where you would look for more and more technology-based. Technology has its own limitations that we need to understand. We cannot just rely only simply the technology-based solution will be the only. That cannot be only source solutions that may be not sustainable in the future.
I completely do agree with your point, Dr. Arif. Based on your take, is there anything that you are excited about, any emerging trends that you think will shape the next decade?
I think if go back to the technology base, we can use the technology to integrate. That was not possible in the past. Now we have so much, efficient ways to integrate the various types or various modes, together. So I'm really excited to have the integration between the different types of the trips, whether it is cyclist, pedestrian, by car or by road or taxi, etc. That integration will make a lot of difference. At the moment, that integration probably is not very effective. So the use of technology to enhance the integration between the various trips, various modes, that is the I think would be very helpful. Yes, the healthier mode like cycling and those things are always important, but I go back to the basic fundamental needs of having an improved land use planning will reduce the trips. Let's say if everything is within the vicinity of 10-15 minutes, so people will not be required to drive a lot on the road. That will reduce the trips, and road maintenance accident will be reduced. We are moving a little bit away from the this basic fundamental principles. That is something that we should not. We should try to make sure that our bases are strong enough, and then we build on using technology that we have. Fortunately, that is very advanced, system that we are, fortunate to have this, and then we will try to make use of that. But if we do not have the strong base, technology, I don't think we'll be able to solve it in a sustainable fashion.
Understand. That's a very interesting take. Do you have anything else that you want to cover?
No, I really thankful for having such a conversation. And thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Doctor. Your insights were incredibly valuable, and I'm sure our listeners will have plenty to reflect on. And if you guys would like to hear more from Dr. Arif, please do not miss his session at the Transport Infrastructure Construction Summit that's taking place this 22nd and 23rd October, where he will delve even deeper into these critical topics. Thank you so much once again, Doctor.
Thank you, Savita, for having me.
If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and stay tuned for more exciting episodes featuring industry leaders from around the globe. Until next time, stay curious and keep innovating.